This is for educational use only, and our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardinis, to use this as an educational material. Greetings everyone, this is Group 4, and I am Kyle S. Alicaba together with my partner.
Hi, I'm Elmar Porlaris and we're here to discuss about
The role of international financial institution in the creation of the global economy. What is international financial institution? An international financial institution is a financial institution that has been established by more than one country, and hence is the subject to international law. Its owners or shareholders are generally national governments, although other international institutions and other organizations occasionally figures as shareholders. The most prominent IFIs are creations of multiple nations, although some bilateral financial institutions exist and technically IFIs. The best known IFIs were established after World War II to assist in the reconstruction of Europe and provide mechanisms for international cooperation in managing global financial system. What is the role of international financial institution in the creation of the global economy? International finance institution plays a significant role in supporting the private sector in developing countries by encouraging entrepreneurial initiatives that help developing countries achieve sustainable growth. This role is becoming increasingly important for the development institutions along with more traditional aid and loan programs to the governments. Examples of international financial institutions: the World Bank, European Bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, ADB, IDB, and lastly we have Green Climate Fund. In many parts of the world, international financial institutions plays a major role in the social and economic development programs of nations with developing or transitional economies. This role includes advising on development projects, funding them, and assisting in their implementation. Characterized by AAA credit ratings and a broad membership of borrowing and donor countries, each of these institutions operates independently. All, however, share the following goals and objectives. First, to reduce global poverty and improve people's living conditions and standards. Next, we have to support sustainable economic, social, and institutional development and to promote regional cooperation and integration. IFIs achieve these objectives through loans, credits, and grants to national governments. Such funding is usually tied to specific projects that focus on economic and socially sustainable development. IFIs also provide technical and advisory assistance to their borrowers and conduct extensive research on development issues. In addition to these public procurement opportunities, in which multilateral financing is delivered to a national government for the implementation of a project or program, IFIs increasingly lending directly to non-sovereign guarantees or NSG. This includes subnational government entities as well as private sector. Types of international financial institutions: World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, and lastly we have International Monetary Bank.
So in continuing the report of Mr. Alicaba, which is the type of international financial institution. So there are four types of international financial institutions, which is the first one is the World Bank, second one is the ASEAN Development Bank, other one is the Islamic Development Bank, the last one is the International Monetary Bank. So the role of the World Bank was established at the 1944 Bretton Woods Conference along with IMF. The World Bank is headquartered in Washington, D.C. It is an international financial institution responsible for providing loans to the countries for their development programs. The World Bank is like a cooperative made up of 189 member countries. These member countries or shareholders are represented by a board of governors who are the ultimate policymakers at the World Bank. So the second one is the ASEAN Development Bank. It is a multilateral development finance institution founded in 1966 by 31 members of governments. It was established to promote the social and economic progress of the ASEAN and Pacific region. Over the past 31 years, the bank membership has increased to 57, of which 41 from within the region and 16 from outside the region. The bank is responsible to cater to the needs of the smaller or underdeveloped countries. It is prioritized the regional, sub-regional, and national projects and programs. So the ASEAN Development Bank, the objective of this is to extend loans and equity investments for the economic and social development of its developing member countries. Other one is to provide technical assistance for the preparation of execution of development projects and programs and for advisory service to promote and facilitate investments for public and private capital for development purposes. To respond to requests for assistance or coordinating development policies plans for DMC. So the third one is the Islamic Development Bank. Islamic International Development Bank is an international financial institution whose purpose is to foster the economic development and social progress of member countries and Muslim communities individually as well as jointly in accordance with the principles of Sharia Islamic law. So the bank is established in pursuance of Declaration of Intent issued by Conference of Finance Minister of Muslim countries held in Jeddah in Dhul Qida 1393 corresponding to December 1973. So the vision of this bank is to be the leader of the fostering socio-economic development member countries and the Muslim communities in non-member countries, conformity with Sharia. The Islamic Development Group is committed to beating poverty, promoting human development, science and technology, Islamic economics, banking and finance, and enhancing cooperation among member countries in collaboration with its development partners. So the last one is the International Monetary Fund. The IMF works to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, sustainable economic growth, reduce poverty in the world. So the IMF primary purpose is to ensure the stability of the international monetary system of exchange rate, international payments that enable countries and their citizens to transact with each other. It does so by keeping track of the global economy and economies of member countries, lending to countries with balance of payments difficulties, and giving practical help to members. So the next one is the advantage of international and financial institutions. Financial institutions provide long-term finance, which is not provided by commercial banks. As an institution, carry out a systematic investigation before conceding support to an apprehension relationship with them helps to increase the credit worthiness of a company. Besides providing funds, many of these institutions endow with financial, administrative, and industrial guidance and consultancy to business firms. Assistance is obtainable with course to usual source is impossible or unbeneficial. For long-term business funds requirements, financial institutions are preferable as they provide long-term finance, which is not provided by commercial banks. Modernization and development plans can be financed without much strain on the financial organization of the company. This one is the disadvantage of international finance institution. As the organization are regulated by the government, they must adhere to strict loan granting guidelines. The procedure is lengthy due to the many formalities. Many causes may be denied due to this institution security and other requirements. The last one is the importance of financial institution in the economy. It's very important because they provide a marketplace for money and assets so that capital can be efficiently allocated to where it is the most useful. For example, a bank takes a deposit from customers and lends the money to borrowers. It is also provide a liquidity to the economy and permit a higher level of economic activity than would otherwise be possible. According to the Brookings Institute, banks accomplish this is a three main ways of regulating, managing markets, and pooling risk among customers.
Good day everyone, this is Cadet Pagay and I'm assigned to discuss about the history of market integration in the 20th century. Before we talk about market integration in the 20th century, we must know first the history before it. The first economic change was agricultural revolution that happened in 10,000 BC. So in this time, people learn how to domesticate plants and animals because they realize that it is much more productive than hunting and gathering. Also for them, farming helps societies build surpluses because it leads to major development like permanent of settlements, trade networks, and popular growth. So the second one is Industrial Revolution in 1760 to 1840. Rising in industry came with new tools such as steam engine, manufacturing, and mass production. So steamships connected the world's ports to each other. That creates a new and faster world transport network. So in this time, goods could be carried across the world to ever more distant markets and still be cheaper in those faraway places than the same item produced locally. Also, in this time, people first became wage laborers, and from time to time, they became more specialized in their skills. That's why the standard of living rose and people had more access to wide variety of goods because of mass production. The third is Information Revolution in 1965. So, computers and other technologies are beginning to replace many jobs, or more like manpower has been reduced because of technologies. Also, international information network was crucial in communicating like details of prices and price movements, reducing the cost of making deals and transactions. In short, it is much easier today than before. That's all about the history of market integration before the 20th century. So let's talk about the market integration in the 20th century. So the first market integration was first achieved after World War II, when big American corporations started to emerge with the rise of new conglomerates, which means a multi-industry company, which is a combination of multiple business entities operating entirely different industries under one corporate group. So examples of that is Amazon, McDonald's, Netflix, and many others. So in this time, international trade and exchange was already practiced in this century, and development of shipping and navigation is one of the causes that many countries were able to extend their reach beyond borders and patterns of trade and technology. Also, in this time, colonialism and imperialism was one of the new ways of putting orders to the economic interrelationships among countries. So when you say imperialism, it is the policy of a country to influence other countries, and colonialism means the practice of settling up colonies and settlements in other countries. That's all I know. Thank you. If you want more info, please watch this other video of my partner narrating a short history of market integration in the 20th century.
Good day everyone, I'm Engine Cadet Redito Nel L. I'm here to narrate a short story of the global market integration in the 20th century. Beginning in 1932, there were several signs that at least some countries were trying to moderate, if not reserve, the increase in protectionism of the previous year or two. What is market integration? According to Malcolm Titom 2020, market integration is a term that is used to identify a phenomenon in which market of goods and services that are somehow related to one another being to experience similar patterns of increase or decrease in terms of the price of those products. We have three types of economic change: the agricultural revolution, industrial revolutions, and information revolution. Agricultural revolution. An important factor of the agricultural revolution was the invention of how tools and advancement of old ones, including the plow, seed shell, and threshing machine, to improve the efficiency of agricultural revolution operations. People learned how to domesticate plants and animals. The new agricultural economy, farming, helped society build surplus. This led to major development like permanent of settlements, trade networks, and popular growth. Next is the Industrial Revolution. The second Industrial Revolution, also known as a technological revolution, was a pace of rapid standardization and industrialization from the late 19th century into the early 20th century. In the same time period, new technological systems were introduced, most significantly electrical power and telephones. With the rise of industrial came new tools like steam engine, manufacturing, and mass production. They began working as a wage laborers will becoming more specialized in their skill. Last is the information revolution. The information revolution that began in the 20th century has been driven in most part by a geometric growth in the production of high-tech electronics, including components of computers, peripherals, semiconductors, integrated circuits, printed circuits, boards, video display equipment, audio equipment, and household electronics. Computers and other technology are beginning to replace many jobs because of automation or outsourcing jobs offshore. Ben Bernanke opens the Fed conference at Jackson Hole with a discussion about economic integration. The talk has two sections: the history of economic integration and current episode of economic integration. One's conclusion from the history section is that while economic integration is beneficial overall, the costs are not shared equally. That's all.
So, good day everyone. We are the continuation of the report of Group 4 and I am Engine Cadet Toro and we are here to report about the attributes of global corporation. So, first is what is a global corporation? A global corporation are typically large multinational companies that have a great amount of control over the world. These organizations have the ability to make decisions about what happened in our society and economy. They can be thought of as existing separate from the rest of the society, since they don't have necessarily answer to anyone but themselves. There is no one person or group who has the ultimate control over them. So these companies that are not owned by one person, they are being owned by a board of directors that is comprised of a various individuals. The members have different interests, which means they have disagree on a certain decision on how to go about running the organization. So the attributes of a global corporation. The global corporation, also known as a global company, is coined from the base term global, which is for us is international, which covers all the area around the globe. It makes sense to assume that a global company is a company that does business all over the world. For example, the brand shoes Nike and Adidas, they are they are called global corporation. So the following are the common characteristics of a multinational corporation. First is a very high assets and turnover. To become a multinational corporation, the business must be a large and must own a huge amount of assets, both physically and financial. The company's targets are high and they are able to generate substantial profit. So once a company must start a global corporation, they must have a big assets in order to produce large amount of products and to sell around the world. And also they must have a lot of financial assets so that they can support their company locally and globally. Second is network of branches. Multinational companies maintain production and marketing operation in different countries. In each country, the business may oversee multiple offices that function through several branches and subsidiaries. So as a global corporation, you must have a lot of multinational companies maintain production and marketing. For example, sa production of cars, sa in area of Japan, they have a production of goods and parts for the cars, and in the area of Korea, they have a production of cars. Next is control. In relation to the previous point, the management of offices in other country is controlled by one head office located in home country. Therefore, the source of command is found in the home country. So in a global corporation, control is very important. So there is only one person that can control all of the assets in the company. Fourth is the continued growth. Multinational corporations keep growing even as they operate in other countries. They strive to grow their economic size by constantly upgrading and by conducting mergers and acquisitions. So global corporations are the ones who continue to grow even today in our situation during pandemic. So I will turn to Engine Cadet Balbuena for the continuation of the report.
So I'm Engine Cadet Bagwena Justin. The next is sophisticated technology. When a company goes global, they need to make sure that their investment will grow substantially. In order to achieve substantial growth, they need to make use of capital intense technology, especially in their production and marketing activities. So, sophisticated machine device or method more advanced or complex than others. Sophistication is defined as having character and tasted based on intelligence and worldwide experience. So an example of this is a computer having all of the newest updates. So that's all. Next is the right skills. Multinational companies aim to employ only the best managers, those who are capable of handling large amounts of funds, using advanced technology, managing workers, and running a huge business entity. So, right, right skills is a personal growth. Having a good skill set also helps you to grow individual. So, example of these are the communication, the teamwork, the problem solving, leadership, organization, and perseverance and motivation. Next, forceful marketing and advertising. One of the most effective survival strategies of multinational corporation is spending a great deal of money on marketing and advertising. This is how they are able to sell every product or service they make. So marketing process of marketing process of best meet those needs. In contrast, advertising is an experience of promoting a company and its product or service through paid channels. In order, the words advertising is component of marketing. So next, the good quality product. Because they use capital intensive technology, they are able to produce top of the line products. So good products must have solid value, proportion of proportion and solve a real problem, be understandable by users, perform their task easily, and become better and harder to part with the more they are used. That's all.
So that's all of our report, and thank you for listening.
So are we done the topic about identify the attributes of global corporation conducted by Cadet Mr. Hitoro and Balbuena. Continue our discussion talking about the Bretton Woods system. What is Bretton Woods system? The Bretton Woods system is a set of unified rules and policies that serve as the foundation for establishing fixed international currency exchange rates. The agreement essentially mandated that the newly formed IMF, or what we call the International Monetary Fund, determine the fixed rate of exchange for all currencies around the world. Bretton Woods system create a set of rules that will maintain fixed exchange rates in the face of short-term fluctuation, guaranteed that changes in exchange rates would occur only in the face of long-term persistence, deficits, or surpluses in the balance of payments. Bretton Woods system ensure that when such changes did occur, they will not spark a series of competitive devaluation. Involving the IMF, or what we call the International Monetary Fund, is that its mission is to promote global economic growth and financial stability, encourage international trade, and reduce poverty around the world. The main objectives of Bretton Woods system are that they ensure exchange rate stability, prevent competitive devaluation, and promote economic growth. In understanding the exchange rate stability is that it expresses the value of one country's currency in relation to the value of another country's currency. For example, if the exchange rate between the US dollar and the Japanese yen is 120 yen per dollar, so $1 is equivalent to 120 yen in foreign country markets. And adding more ideas about the promotion of economic growth is that it measures by an increasing in gross domestic product, or what we call the GDP, which is defined as the combined value of all goods and services produced within a country in a year. Adding capital to the economy tends to increase productivity of labor. Newer, better, and more tools mean the workers can produce more output per time period. How Bretton Woods system is helpful in the world. Far from being a period of international cooperation and global order, the Bretton Woods years reveal the inherent difficulties of attempting to create and maintain an international order that promoted both free and unrestricted trade while also allowing countries to pursue their own policy objectives. The benefits of the Bretton Woods system were a significant expansion of international trade and investment as well as a notable macroeconomic performance
The rate of inflation was lower on average for every industrial country, except Japan, than during the period of floating exchange rates that followed. The real per capita income growth was higher than in any monetary regime since 1879, and the interest rates were low and stable. It has to be noted that leading economists nowadays argue whether macroeconomic performance stability was responsible for the success of Britain.
What is the purpose of International Monetary Fund or IMF? The International Monetary Fund IMF is an organization of 190 countries working to foster global monetary cooperation, secured financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. So, International Monetary Fund, which was supposed to lend money to countries that are in trouble and cannot attract financing from other sources. What is the role of the Philippines in the World Bank and the IMF or International Monetary Fund? Since 1945, the World Bank Group has mobilized funding, global knowledge, and partnerships to support the Philippines' effort to alleviate poverty, upgrade infrastructure, improve health, nutrition, and education, strengthen resilience against climate change and natural disaster, promote peace, and enhance global competitiveness. So, what did Bretton Woods set out to accomplish? The purpose of the Bretton Woods meeting was to set up a new system of rules, regulations, and procedures for the major economies of the world to ensure their economic stability. So, Bretton Woods established the International Monetary Fund or IMF and the World Bank. The IMF or International Monetary Fund primary aims was to foster global monetary cooperation, striving to promote global monetary cooperation, financial stability, international trade, facilitation, high employment and long-term economic growth, and poverty reduction around the world. Also, achieve greater financial stability and facilitate international trade. The idea was to build a framework that would facilitate international trade while maintaining individual countries' policy autonomy and reduce unemployment and poverty, promote sustainable economic growth. The International Monetary Fund or IMF thinks that economic growth is the only way for developing countries to raise their living standards, and that this can be accomplished through globalization. It is doing everything possible within the parameters set for by its members to protect the international financial system and assist its members in taking advantage of the benefits that come with integration into the global economy while limiting the risks that come with it.